My name's Eli Delaney, and I have the honor of meeting some pretty cool people. These are the entrepreneurs, the artists, the creatives, the game changers that are making a positive impact in the people that they meet. And I'm a firm believer that the people that you meet can get you anywhere you want to go. And this show is my way of sharing them with you. It's my way of also helping you meet cool people. All right, welcome back, everybody. Eli here, and today with Meet Cool People, I'm going to do another solo episode. This is another one. I've got the book here, the follow-up code, and this has actually worked out really well to be able to share kind of nuggets out of the book through some of these episodes, and it's been a lot of fun to kind of recap stuff that I put into the book as well. So today's topic is compassion, and remembering that not everybody buys on your timeline, under your schedule. A lot of people don't buy the way you do. And that's where we want to talk about how do we still stay in touch with people? How do we build those relationships and communicate with people the way they need to be communicated with and when they need to be communicated with in order to build that know, like, and trust, even when we want the sale yesterday. That's just normal, right? If we had our way with them, they would have bought yesterday, but that's just not how reality works. And this is where I say we have to give compassion in our business to the people that we are doing business with, our prospects, our clients, vendors, partners, everybody. We have to remember that they're human beings and they may think differently. They may be wired differently than us. And so we have to give them space to make the decision in their own way while trying to communicate with them in their language, which, sometimes that's a real actual language barrier, but sometimes it's their emotional way of processing things. And we have to keep that in mind. And so in the book, I brought up DISC, the 4 personality types. Now, there's a lot of information with a lot of tests that are out there, but this one kind of hit home for me when I actually started with this. And I'll share that story in a minute. But I want you to think about if you've ever done a DISC personality test. I kind of break it down in a different way than most people because I like to make it much more fun and easier to remember. So D is your dominance. Those are basically your alphas. Okay, these are usually your C level, high intensity, very no BS kind of people. They make fast decisions. Timing is everything with them. So they would much rather get short, sweet, to the point. What's going on? How do we do it? What am I going to get out of this? Yes or no? In an email, you need to get to the point in the first couple sentences. If you bury the value, they're gone. They're not going to pay attention. And so think about that when you're talking to somebody that's got that kind of personality. Now, if you don't know them yet, you can figure it out pretty quickly. The type of stuff that they type, the type of stuff that they say when you're having conversations with them. Again, think alpha personality. That's them. Okay. Now, your second is your partiers. Okay. These are much more social. They're very high energy. They're very big picture. They don't want all the details. They just want to keep the vision of everything. These are your salespeople. Okay. In an email, you've got to keep it short and story-based because they want to hear something like that. Skip all the granular, skip all the details. The data is not what's important to them. They want to hear a story and they want to make it, they still want it to be short, but it needs to be story. It needs to entertain them. So they're more likely to watch a video if you send it to them, by the way. So that is something to think about with that personality type. If you're dealing with prospects that are like that, maybe instead of just writing a long email, it's like, hey, you know what? This makes more sense if I put it as a video. So here's a link, and use Loom or whatever software is available at the time to record a video. Now, when we get to the third one, these are our analyticals. Okay. And these are like your CPAs, your programmers. These people love the details. They love the data. They crunch the numbers. They want to know exact timelines. So if you can go through and you're talking about something and you want to use data, it's like, this is going to save you X amount of hours per week on your project, or this will give you, a result of X number of dollars. Now, obviously, you got to be authentic. You have to be true when you give numbers. That's just This is a legal thing, to be perfectly honest. But you need to make sure that you're giving them the data so they can process everything that they need. One of the other things that's really important with them, these are going to be slower decision makers. Okay. They're going to need to think about it. They really do need time to think about it. When they say, let me think it over, they're being honest. They need to think it over because they're thinking permutations in their head. What are all the variables? What are the things that go into it? What's the pluses? What's the minuses? All these other things. And that's going to take them some time to process the data before they'll make a decision. Now, our fourth category are the warm and fuzzies. These are your coaches, your social workers, much more heart-centered people. And they buy the heaviest on emotion. They need to feel it. So the languages that you use, or the language that you use, needs to be much more emotional driven. They'll love you telling personal stories. They love the emotional connection to whatever it is. And you have to think about these things. How are you going to talk to them differently? They're probably going to sleep on it. They might even go talk to their shaman. You never know what's going to happen with them. But reality is, they generally are going to take a little bit more time than our first two, but they want to feel it. They're going to go with their gut instinct more than anything else. Even if their gut instinct says, yes, this is an awesome thing, sometimes you'll get that impulse buy because of that. But many times their gut is going to tell them which direction to go, but they're still going to think on it because there's a lot of emotion involved. They might doubt themselves at first. Okay. So give them space, give them time, tell them stories. When you follow up with them, tell them other stories, give them examples of clients who've gotten results and what their journey looks like. The journey piece is a really powerful piece of that. Okay. So those are your 4 different personality types in this. Now, when I'm talking about using compassion, there's a couple of things that go into play with this. Number 1, give people the space to take the time that they need, which is a very big piece of this. Secondly is, can you be compassionate enough to try to communicate with them on their level and the way they communicate? Because not enough people do this. They don't take the time to touch on other people's emotional thoughts and the way they think in order to help them feel more comfortable with you in making that decision. Now, this stuff all came in when I first got into studying stuff at all. I was working with a coach, and what she would do, she did a lot of one-on-one stuff, but then she had like a once a month get together with all of our clients, and we do like a half-day workshop kind of thing. And this one time we do this, and she gave us the disc profile, and so we all took it. Now, the test for mine came back as an analytical, which is partially true. I kind of an interesting one. I'm very close to the center. So I show traits of all 4 categories very strongly. Some people are very strong in one area, and there's some people that are much more chameleon-like myself. But for me, it came in as a whole, I came back much more in the analytical, which isn't wrong, except the part that doesn't, they see me also as more analytical, but emotionally, I'm much more in the warm and fuzzy category. That is where I want to connect with people. I want to hear their stories. I want to tell them stories. I want to talk to them and make them feel better. I want to help them have a better day. Well, that's a totally different category. And the problem was that my coach put me very strongly into the analytical category. And I'm like, no, I'm over here with these people. She's like, no, you're not. And what ended up happening is actually when we left, my partner at the time, she's like, because it bothered me. And I was like, okay, she kept putting me in the wrong spot. I don't understand. I was really struggling with figuring that out. And my partner at the time was like, see, the problem is that people don't understand. You don't let them see the real you very often. And I was like, huh? I'm like really confused by this and a little put off by it. And she's like, you always show up very professional. At the time I was always wearing, I was always dressed pretty nice, not necessarily in a tie, but quite a bit in a tie, jacket, the whole thing. And they see you as professional and you're the geeky guy. Because at the time I was just starting my second company and I'd had my web and graphic design company for years. And it's like, you come in and you teach them stuff related to all the techie stuff that you do, and you answer their questions, and you're there and you're very helpful and they like you, but you are very all business. They don't get to see the personal side of you. And she went on to say, she's like, they don't get to see the part that I see, who, you're on the, you're out wearing rock and roll shirts and going to blues shows, and they don't know that you have a dog. They don't know that you have a daughter, even, because you don't talk about any of that stuff to anybody but us. And I realized, it hit me really hard, and I had to kind of spend some time pondering this. But I realized I was hiding parts of me that actually would have helped me. And I decided that I'd give it a try. I didn't know better at the time, but I was like, okay, well, if this is that big of a deal, I don't want to be mislabeled. That bothered me a lot. And so I was like, okay, maybe I should start being a little bit more lax and a little bit more me, as opposed to this stuffy, super professional dude that's out there. And so I started sharing more stories and I started dressing down a bit more, and I would talk more like me instead of talking more like what I thought people wanted. And the beauty of it was, the very first thing that happened was my business started taking off. I started getting more people having better conversations and trusting me faster. And it was because I was being very authentic and I was communicating differently. And this is really where the point to this all goes, is that now this goes in any form of communication. I bring it up with email because, I'm the email guy and I wrote the book on email, follow up, right? So that's where this comes in with the book, is to talk about the 4 different personality types. If you can think about them and communicate in a way that makes sense to them, they're going to pay more attention to your emails. They're more likely to open them up. They're more likely to reply to them. And this happens in all communication, by the way. I just use email as an example. So, what ends up happening is that we change how we communicate, and we become more conscious and intentional of the words that we say to these people, whether it's verbally speaking or written word, email, social media, whatever. And they start noticing it and start paying better attention. And that's where all of this is going. An addict, an analytical who hasn't bought from you in 6 months, it may not be because they're not interested. It could be because it really truly took them that long, or maybe they just needed more information. The alpha that didn't buy from you, it may not have anything to do with it because of you in any way, shape, or form. They had something else, as another shiny object that grabbed their attention faster. Something was a more important, more pressing thing. And so maybe stepping up the amount of communication you have would be a better choice. Understanding these things is what makes the difference. These are the things that people go, oh, okay, now I understand what she was talking about. Because if you talk to them in their language, they get it. And they feel like you understand them a lot more, which is really kind of cool. That's a big piece of it, is just because you change the language, you could say basically the same thing. But if you change the language up, you'll actually get them to feel like you're listening better, which is beautiful, because now the walls come down, the trust and the loyalty go up, and the willingness and the desire to do business with you is much more likely to happen. So when you're thinking about compassion, there's a couple of things you need to keep in mind with this. Number one is patience. Patience with purpose. Keep showing up. Keep adding value. Stop interpreting silence as rejection. We all suffer from this one, right? To think about where and how can you communicate with them on their level to make them feel more like you understand them, you can help them, they feel like they trust you, and they want to do business with you. So change up how you communicate, think about that, and it doesn't matter what the situation is, don't give up. You might just need to change things a little bit, give them a little bit more data, or maybe tighten it up because you said too many words last time for a partier, right? Clean it up. Think about who in your world you've written off as not interested, and think about the communication, the conversations you've had with them, and go, maybe I should change this up a little bit. Because if you can do that, that makes a big difference. They might come back to you just because you change the words that you say in a way that makes sense to them. So that's what I got for today. Hopefully this is helpful. A couple of cool things going. Obviously, go to Amazon, get the book, The Follow-Up Code. It's my favorite cool thing right now, just because of the fact that, it's been doing really good. And I've got a lot of feedback. I'm just barely starting to get some actual reviews on Amazon, which is a lot of fun, but I'm getting a lot of feedback from people personally. That's been amazing. I'd love for you to grab a copy of it. Let me know what you think. Obviously, if you liked it, please do a review for me. That helps me out. And then obviously, all the other things we've got. One of them is, the whole process of like the follow-up fix. The followupfix.net is a 5-day program. It's a series that I send out. I'm going to show you the 5 biggest mistakes people make with their email marketing, and how to fix them. And that is one of the best things you can do to just learn more, plain and simple. You want to understand more of this kind of stuff that I'm talking about today. That's a great primer to get you going with it. Okay. With that, I think I covered everything. I'd love to hear your thoughts and ideas. Anything else? If there's anything I can do to help you out, reach out. Let me know. Take care. And that wraps up another Meet Cool People show. Now, if you like what you heard, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, or review so I can help introduce these amazing cool people to even more amazing cool people. And just remember, meeting cool people is just the beginning. You need to have a system in place to follow up with the amazing people that you meet. This is exactly what we do for our clients. Now, if you'd like to see if my team and I can help you, go to convertmoreclientsnow.com and check out the case study video to see exactly how we're helping our clients turn casual connections into cash clients for life. Again, go to convertmoreclientsnow.com and see how we can work together to turn you into a follow-up rock star.